Hey friends, are you actually shopping for a house or just sightseeing? Today, we're breaking down why that question matters more than you think and how a simple loan consultation can completely change your home buying experience. We'll cover what it is, what you actually get out of it, and how it's different from just getting pre-approved, and why even experienced buyers are going through this step before they start looking. I'm joined today by Mary Cables from Morgan Financial. I always love having our internal people here on the podcast. Mary doesn't toot her own horn, but I will. She's a seasoned loan officer and one of the top loan officers in Brevard County and Florida. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So the reason I wanted to bring you on today is because we are talking about the loan consultation, not the pre-approval process, but the loan consultation specifically. So you as the forefront of that and the expert, I wanted to ask you a few questions on what exactly a loan consultation is. Sound good?
Bring it.
Awesome. All right. So what exactly is a loan consultation and how does it differ from just getting pre-approved?
Absolutely. So as far as for a loan consultation, really I consider it the foundation. So where it differs from just a pre-approval is that you're actually hearing about realistic payments. You're getting a thorough review of your credit. You're going over everything so that as you're going to look for a home, you don't fall in love first and then find out later you can't afford it.
Gotcha.
Because everyone... Oh,
go ahead.
Everyone's version of what they can afford is different. Just because it fits within the debt to income ratio doesn't mean it meets their affordability criteria. For
Understandable. We also have a lot of people that come to us from big banks. Like they walked into their bank one day, they've been banking there for years, and they say, oh, I've already got a pre-approval. What do you say to those people?
So you've given someone your name, social, and date of birth.
Yes.
Did they give you any other information?
Nope, waiting to hear back.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, differs a little bit from just going into your bank and crunching basic numbers or just giving them general information.
Yes, definitely, because I've worked for a local credit union here, and, I thought that's how it always was. You just call me, you give me your information, I give you a letter, you go find the house, and then madness happens later.
I feel like there's a story behind when you say madness happens later. Can you explain one of the situations where this has come up?
Well, I can explain it from getting a phone call. We're in our U-Haul. We pulled into the house right now. And this is when I worked for the other company. And I said, oh, that's great. And they said, no, it's not. We were just told we were denied. And at that moment, I realized I did not know how much more I could handle it because I wasn't positively impacting people's lives. And I didn't know about it because our whole thing was, they gave you their information, throw them over the wall and bring more people in. So.
Understandable. So what's the biggest difference between being a loan officer at a smaller company versus being a loan officer at one of those big banks?
So what I experienced personally was I was licensed under the licensure of the company. So I hadn't necessarily educated myself. I literally went through a 2-day training on 47 different loan products. And they said, now go on the phones. You're an expert. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So you would call me and you'd say, what should I do? FHA or for conventional? And I would say, what do you want to do? FHA or conventional. So I would follow up with questions. I didn't know how to answer them. I would just get really good at, just one moment. Let me put you on hold. And I'd run around frantically. Someone's asking me a question that I don't know the answer for. So that was the experience of working under the licensure versus now being licensed, having to educate myself so I can educate others, being able to truly be an expert versus a jack of all trade, having 47 different loan products. Now it's really down to a small, pool where I can truly be an expert with what I am providing value back to people versus just taking an application.
So it sounds like that wasn't really a loan consultation that they were experiencing before. I think with one of the biggest financial decisions that you're making in your life, having an expert that actually knows the ins and outs of it, brings a little bit more value.
Absolutely.
So what would you say to the people, such as myself, who aren't on their first home, they're on their second or third home, and they say, oh, I've done loan consultations, I'm a seasoned expert.
Great. So if you're a seasoned expert, you too know that there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you should be knowing, like what are the fees of the loan? What do the payments look like? If you experienced it before, you know that there's a lot of questions and information that should be given. So go through a loan consultation. It'll be the best decision you made.
Wonderful. How have some of the rising costs like insurance changed what buyers need to be thinking about today when they go into a loan consultation?
It is so important, to know, the common thing that could be said is, well, we're not insurance experts. We don't know what insurance is going to cost. But if you're experienced enough, you should have a good general idea about averages of what homeowners insurance would cost. Also, taxes. If you're going with a bigger company, typically they're telling you what the taxes are, not what they're going to be reassessed to. So I want to give you the information of what it's going to be in the future because I stay in touch with all of my past clients. The last phone call I want to make is, Mary, you didn't prepare us for taxes going up tremendously. I want them to be prepared with that information so they continue to trust me in the future.
Have you had any clients have that experience? Can you share any stories with that?
I've had many clients that as they go through the loan consultation with me, they're like, that's what happened? Mm-hmm. And I say, unfortunately, yes, looking at your tax bill, this is what happened. Giving them education behind their tax bill, understanding that if you've lived in your home for a long time, there's ways where you can transfer your naturally built up equity onto the purchase of the new home. And we're discussing that in the loan consultation so you know about it. Because if you don't know about all of these layers, there's so many things you can miss out on.
Speaking of that, what mistakes do buyers make when they skip this step of the loan consultation?
They fall in love with the home. It's such an emotional process, and so you go into the house, you're picturing yourself moving your couch in, your bed, I'm going to hang this picture over there. And then all of a sudden you find out how much it's going to cost and you're already in love with it. So you just make the reactionary decision of either I'm going to purchase or, I can't even afford this from a lending perspective. So now I can't even buy it. That's devastating.
Yeah. Mary Cable is saving lives and marriages one mortgage at a time. I can only imagine what that feels like. A lot of times people go shopping before they get pre-approved and before they have a loan consultation. So I can only imagine the stress that puts on people when they fall in love with something and a husband has to have a conversation with the wife or the wife has to have a conversation with the husband. Or worse, they have to have a conversation with the real estate agent and then everybody's kind of looking a little bit silly at that point.
Yes.
So if somebody has purchased multiple homes before, why should they still go through the loan consultation? How does that consultation protect the buyer?
Well, how it protects the buyer is, knowing the expectations about, what to expect for closing costs, cash to closing monthly payments. But it's also about knowing if you can afford it from your own perspective and also the lending perspective. So it's the layers of it. You want to make sure that you're prepared. A lot of people I'll talk to say, I know I'm going to get pre-approved. Well, there's a difference between knowing you can get pre-approved and knowing it's within your budget. Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned something the other day that really resonated with me. We always focus on the doom and gloom side of things, like maybe they can't afford that home. Have you ever had an experience where people were surprised and they could actually afford more?
Absolutely. Definitely. They've been like, wow, we've been restricting ourselves to this particular home. We don't feel like we're in the neighborhood we want to be, the school zones that we want to be in, the things that they have as far as their, box of what they want. And then finding out, wow, we can actually afford more. We were calculating way too much for this, so I've had many experiences of the positive side of a consultation as well.
Yeah, it's putting a plan in place. I think a lot of times we, in regular life, go shopping, we don't have the end goal in mind. I feel like from everything that you're saying, it's starting with the end goal in mind and putting a plan in place and then just executing that plan. So
yes.
Well, who should be having this conversation right now?
If you are even thinking about buying, selling, anything, even refinancing, you should have a loan consultation. So rather than, wow, I want to see what houses are out there, I don't even know if I want to do this or not. I want to find the right house. Well, why would you not just consider getting pre-approved? Consider having that loan consultation. Think about that first versus is the house out there? Because you don't know what house you're looking for, what's within your budget until you do that.
Definitely. Well, I think the resounding statement from this is have a conversation with your trusted advisor or partner. It's not just about the loan, it's about the full financial picture.
Could not say it better myself.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mary, your wealth of knowledge. And if you found some value in this podcast today, please share it with somebody that's looking to purchase, thinking about purchasing, or is just interested in putting together a plan for their financial future. We'll see you next time.